Ms. Fricott-Roth.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Sessions, thank you very much for inviting me to testify here today. With your permission, I would like to submit my written testimony for the record. I'd first like to extend my sympathies to Carrie and to Patrick. I have 6 children myself. I can't imagine what it would be like losing one of them. It must just be the worst thing in the world, and I want to tell you that my sympathies are completely with you. The discussion of the merits of the Himmelstein study, I think, has been effectively gone over by Ms. Mather and discussed already. And I guess what I would like to talk about is what to do about the health system in general, because it seems like the problems of medical bankruptcy are being used in order to say that we need health reform. And it's very true that we do need health reform. It's easy to get auto insurance, it's easy to get home insurance, it's easy to get life insurance. What's really difficult is to get health insurance. But what the bills under consideration now in Congress, the 2 bills in the Senate, the bills in the House, those would make the situation worse. And those, in fact, would exacerbate the problems of bankruptcy in the United States. Not just medical bankruptcy, but bankruptcy overall. And this is because these bills would result in a worse economic situation, loss of jobs. The survival rates for cancer in the United States are the highest in the world, higher than Canada, higher than Europe, both of which have socialized single-payer national health insurance systems. We need to fix our health insurance system now. We need to make it more like auto and home and life insurance, where anyone can get it, where it's not tied to the employer. But we don't want to disadvantage American innovation. We don't want to disadvantage the job creation that we've had here in the United States. It's made it possible for people to rise up from low incomes to high incomes. We don't want to be forcing more Americans into bankruptcy through losses of their jobs. And with that, I'll conclude. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to testify today.
Thank you very much. I can't help but inquire, did you actually read the bill that is the subject of today's hearing?
I did, yes.
You did?
Yes.
Because you never mentioned it once in your written testimony. You never mentioned it once in your testimony before the panel. So it's a little bit confusing to me that in a hearing on the Medical Bankruptcy Fairness Act, you seem to sort of veer across 3 lines of traffic to attack healthcare reform proposals that are not the subject of this committee's jurisdiction and have not a word to say about the bill itself, which you never mentioned.
Well, I think that we have bankruptcy provisions right now in the United States that are doing a good job of dealing with.
Did they do a good job for Ms. Burns?
Well, Ms. Burns was in a very, very unfortunate situation whereby
bankruptcy tends to attract people with unfortunate situations, doesn't it? People with fortunate situations are very rarely in bankruptcy court. At least that's my understanding.
It does, but what we need to do is also look at the unintended consequence of these different kinds of legislation. And by making it much easier to forgive bankruptcy, what you're doing is encouraging more people to file for bankruptcy.
Well, I guess I'll just leave it right there. I think I can't say anything better than that. Dr. Fricott-Roth. I think we disagree on whether healthcare reform, the healthcare reform that we're talking about now in Congress should pass. And you said that kind of the way we're going will increase bankruptcies. I want to ask you, how many bankruptcies because of medical crises were there last year in Switzerland?
I don't have that number in front of me, but I could find out. And
I can tell you how many it was.
Get back to you.
It's 0. Do you know how many medical bankruptcies there were last year in France?
I don't have that number, but I can get back to you if you like.
Yeah, the number is 0. Do you know how many were in Germany?
From the trend of your questions, I'm assuming the answer is 0, but I don't know the precise amount, and I would have to get back to you.
Well, you're very good. You're very fast. The point is that I think we need to go in that direction, not in the opposite direction. Thank you.
Do you know the cancer survival rates in those countries?
You know, you've picked on one, and if you look at that study, did you know that we pick much more easily survivable cancer rates? So if you want to start getting into digging deep into studies, that study isn't legitimate. I've heard that before. That's because we find easily survivable cancers to count as ones that we survive. So if you want to, you can cherry pick stuff to find one little place where somebody says our system works better than the French or the Germans. But we're talking about bankruptcy here today. And the fact of the matter is, you're saying that if we go more to a French system or a Swiss system, that we'll have increased bankruptcies. But the fact is, they don't have bankruptcies, and we do for medical care. Thank you.
The fact is also that the Himmelstein study does not prove that there's a problem.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Pato was saying
We have
about
time
how
for each
surveys
senator to ask
are
their
a very
question
good
and
way of
Senator Feingold is recognized.